Welcome to another thrilling episode of Explorers of the Lost Vaults, the podcast where we embark on a captivating journey through history, delving into the remarkable artifacts hidden within museums around the globe. Sponsored by Bible Interact, who will guide you through tales of discovery, mystery, and wonder. Together, we'll explore the enigmatic realms of museums, revealing the secrets and histories contained within their walls. What treasures lie hidden? What stories do these artifacts have to tell? Buckle up, because this journey is sure to be an exhilarating ride. Now let's dive into the adventure and unlock the mysteries of today's episode.
What I have on display is a selection of gold bells. Archaeologists have excavated a 2,000-year-old gold bell in a channel leading down to the Pool of Siloam, located south of the Temple Mount. Scholars suggest that the gold bell just may have been worn by the high priest. The waters of Siloam were used for purification rituals before entering the holy temple courts. The Gospel of John, chapter 7, records Jesus commanding a blind man to wash his eyes in these waters before he receives the miracle of sight. Now remember to subscribe so I can see you in the next podcast. Welcome everybody to our next episode on Biblical Archaeology from the Ground Down, sponsored by Bible Interact. And also we have artifacts from the Museum of Archaeology and Biblical History on loan. My co-host, Dr. Graves, is with us today, and he's going to help me along. I'm going to do hopefully a short presentation on an artifact that was excavated about 15 years ago. I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of it, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, at least to me it is. I want to share it with everybody, David. And I think
so it was actually found that long ago, was it?
Yeah, 2011, believe it or not.
2011. Okay. I thought it was or more recent, but okay. We all learn something on this channel, you know?
But you know what it is? It's like sometimes there's a cool discovery, but something else comes along that kind of outshines it and gets the media attention. And that happens. And look where we're at now. It's 2025. And honestly, it came to my attention probably about 2 or 3 months ago. And I thought, you know what? I'd like to do something on that because there's only some short little articles and that's it. And maybe some podcast on YouTube that are about 2 minutes long at the longest. And that was it. So I thought we'd do something and for everybody and bring it to their attention. It's cool archaeology. Of course, we love it. You know, it's in our blood. So we want to share that with everybody else. And in sharing, David, you know, something just, I think it's a lot of fun. It's fun when people enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And last time we met, we were at 257,000 subscribers. And I appreciate everybody for subscribing to Bible Interact and enjoying our podcast. And also we got tons of shorts out there. I found out a way where people can get, David, a lot of our material because it's biblical archaeology from the ground down. And also there's podcasts just that say Bible Interact. So it can get confusing. But if you say Bible Interact from the ground down, all the material comes up. And I started doing like, wow. And I just kind of thought to myself, how can I get all this material where, you know, I can see both and I can choose whether I want the archaeology or the other content from Bible Interact. Bible Interact from the ground down, you get both.
Right.
Hopefully everybody does that and they'll enjoy it. I know that I did. And I saw a lot of content that we did way back. And I thought, I forgot all about that. Today, I'm going to talk about a golden bell.
The golden bell.
The golden bell, David. That's what I want to talk about. You know, I got sidetracked right away. Talking about the golden bell.
The golden bell?
The golden bell. Here it's a dingling.
George.
Yes, sir.
Do you mean the golden bell or the bronze bell?
Okay. David wants to make sure that we're not being what they found in Israel is a gold bell in Jerusalem, a gold bell that dates back 2,000 years. Very cool. We got a representation right here, very, very similar, but these are bronze. These are small bronze. I'm sorry that I didn't invest in gold bells. So David's correcting me. He just wants to make sure I don't say it's a gold bell and misrepresent. And then have a bunch of people, you know, contact us and say, wait a minute, those don't look gold to me.
Yeah.
Oh, there they went. It doesn't matter because they're bronze bells anyway. So I wanted to actually show the size compared to a Herodian. Now, this is an authentic terracotta Herodian oil lamp, David.
Oh, you don't want to
So-
be throwing that around.
No, But see, I have this on a decline right here, so that's why they rolled away, so I could pick them up on the there. But you can see in comparison that this is only like maybe 3 centimeters in length and height, and that's how small it was. And there's a little attachment on the top where it would have been presumably hung or attached or sewn to garments, right? So somebody's wearing or displaying decorative jewelry, or maybe an earring, or maybe it was what we're going to go for. What do you want to call it? It's clickbait. Clickbait. Maybe it was sewn on the hem of a garment of a high official. Now, if we want true clickbait, we turn around, sewn on the garment of the high priest, and it fell off, and he just didn't realize it, wandering through the ancient streets of Jerusalem. But for archaeological purposes, in all honesty, I'm representing a bronze bell, the same size and dimension as the one that was found in a tunnel in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. Fair enough?
Good.
And we're going to talk about it. The oil lamp is authentic. Herodian oil lamp, 2,000 years old, But
George, hold it up and show it.
this,
Yeah, the oil lamp, just kind of give everybody
yeah,
an idea of the shape
the
and
knowledge of
size,
it.
and yeah, it can
Yeah,
almost
so-
fit in the tongue. Is the bottom flat or round or?
Oh, this, you can see that it's almost like convex,
Yep. Got your round, typical bottom.
and it kind of rocks, And of course, these Herodian lamps are found in the thousands. They're so common because this is their source of lighting
Yep.
in the ancient world.
Everybody had one.
Everybody has one. It's the most simple, I think, of oil lamps in the 1st and 2nd century AD BC. Now, what's interesting, we're off subject, but this is what we do. We go off subject. No graven image, even though your Greek lamps, Hellenistic lamps, and Roman lamps have many images showing many activities of the times of their periods, and they actually become collectible, right? But the Herodian lamps are plain, David, and I know you know this, but for the listening audience, because of the commandment of no graven images. So an observant Jew would have what we call a Herodian lamp, not that Herod and his sons were manufacturing lamps, is from what we call the Herodian period, okay, in Israel.
And George, this ties into our stone vessels we talked about in ritual cleansing as well. So
Absolutely.
the Jewish practices. And so,
Do I have one right here? This is part of being, an artifact junkie.
there you go.
The bell again. Forget about the. I don't want to forget about the bell. That's what we're about today. But there it is. In the stone vessel, limestone vessel, ritually pure. This is what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And the Jews would use that because it was ritually pure to do their ritual and cleansing, and what some call them a dipper. This ties into the oil lamps and having no graven image. So Jewish
It also
items.
Yes, and it ties into what we're going to talk about today because of the involvement in the locations around the old city of Jerusalem that we're going to talk about.
Good.
So we got certain geology features that we want, and also you could say archaeological artifacts that we're going to talk about in conjunction with the Golden Bell.
Great.
And since I'm glad you brought this out, David. I really do, because we tie into this bell. I don't want to give away too much. The bell was found in an ancient drainage tunnel underneath a Roman road. So you got a road where water was redirected from a high location in Jerusalem to a lower location to the Pool of Siloam. Now, there was a festival, right, during Sukkot, where they would actually have a procession, and they go to the Siloam and they draw water. Now, I don't want to give away too much, David. You just take away my thunder, man. I know you don't do it on purpose.
Thinking alike.
Let's get into this real quick here. So the Golden Bell was discovered in 2011 by Eli Shukran, of the Israel Antiquity Authority, so the IAA, during the excavation in the city of David. Now we're talking about the old city of David location. The bell was found in a drainage channel that runs from the Pool of Siloam to Jerusalem Archaeological Garden near the western wall. So we're at a lower location, the pool, and he's talking about the drainage tunnel as it ascends up to the western wall. All right, to give people an idea. So Shukran, along with Professor Ronnie Reich, he's a known figure in archaeology, Ronnie Reich of Haifa University, directed the excavation. So we got some very credible people involved in the excavation.
Now, George,
yes,
they're
sir.
doing for tourists now. The Pool of Siloam has just been excavated, extended, and opened up even further. And they're actually building a walkway to be able to walk from the Pool of Siloam all the way up to the Temple Mount. So tourists can actually walk up there now. So they're in the process of construction of that. They've been able to get down to the original stones from the first century. So you're going to be able to walk from the Pool of Siloam up to the Temple Mount. And you're talking about the water source running from the Pool of Siloam up to the Temple Mount. So giving everybody an idea of that upward grade that we have, elevation that it extends up. So great.
Well, the old city is an elevated city. When we talk about the old city, because we think about the Temple Mount itself, the temple is the highest on Mount Moriah, and then we move lower to the old city. And as it goes down in elevation, because water has to flow from a high elevation using gravity to a lower elevation to the Pool of Siloam, right? So with that in mind, we got to pay attention to what is being written, because sometimes they use the word ascend. So when we talk about the Pool of Siloam in the western wall, it's not that the water is flowing from Siloam to the western wall. It's in the reverse, from the western high location down to a lower location. So a rare gold bell with a small loop. So it does have a small loop on it. And we'll show pictures. At its ends was discovered during an archaeological excavation in the drainage channel that begins in the Pool of Siloam and continues from the city of David to Jerusalem's archaeological garden. It's an excavation that tourists go to south of the Temple Mount. All right. It's called the Archaeological Garden, and it's near the western wall.
Or some refer to it as the Ophel excavation.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There's different wording for this. And later on, I do have a PowerPoint presentation. We're going to put this in its locations for everybody. These are just small articles, like I mentioned before. David, not a lot was said about this, which is amazing to me, because I think it is rather cool. Now, according to excavation directors, archaeologist Eli Shukran and Professor Ronnie Reich of Haifa University, it seems now these are the archaeologists, and this is their excavation. Now, as archaeologists, we want attention. We love attention. We like attention for our excavations as well.
Helps to raise funds too.
There you go. It seems, this is, I believe, Ronnie Reich, Dr. Reich. It seems the bell was sewn on the garment worn by a high official. Notice he says high official. He didn't go to the high. I thought that was rather cool. By a high official in Jerusalem at the end of the Second Temple period. So 1st century CE. So really what this is going to suggest is we're looking at the first Jewish revolt. And something was going on that caused a disruption within the community, and people are scurrying about. And in this, people were hiding from the Romans, and they were actually hiding in these water channels underneath the Roman road. Hopefully they would not be discovered. However, the stones that make up the street were lifted up by the Romans, and they went down, and they massacred many, and others were captured and sold as slaves.
Now, George, to tie this in with archaeology again, we have the burnt house of Cathros, the priest, and in that destruction, we've got a severe burn layer, 1st century house, as well as a Roman spear, and actually there's some bones, human bones they found there as well from the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. So that all ties in.
Yes, we got like you're saying, and we can dump in some pictures. It's called the burnt house, and there's another it's like an underground museum. It's called the Wall Museum. And it's excavations. I believe your friend, the guy that does the drawings,
Lane Rittmeyer?
Dr. Rittmeyer, he was working there as well. And he was helping, I think, with some of the restoration.
Yeah.
And in the Wall Museum, this is the ruins of the wealthy class and the high priest and the priestly class on the western side of ancient Jerusalem. And
Yeah.
this is what he was talking about as well. So
Yeah.
the bell was excavated inside Jerusalem's main drainage channel at that time, among the layers of earth that had accumulated along the bottom of it. In other words, they're excavating mud and debris and they found the bell. And the bell was found in a drainage channel underneath the Roman road. So here's the road. They probably lifted the stone slabs up, went down and started excavating down in there and clearing out the debris. This drainage channel was built and hewn the length of the western wall of the Temple Mount. On the bottom of the slope descending to the Tyropoeon Valley, these are all features around the Temple Mount. Now, Tyropoeon Valley is actually on the west side, so that's why he said the western wall. So this is the valley outside the western wall. This drainage channel conveyed rainwater from different parts of the city by way of the city of David, that's going down further, to the pool of Siloam, to the Kidron Valley. And it was found in 2011. Now, the main Roman period street, so this is a Roman period street of the old city Jerusalem, is in the region of this excavation above the drainage channel. So we're talking about the Roman road, Roman period, old city, and it is above the drainage channel. This is what the article is trying to say. This road ascended. What's the word is being used? This road ascended north from the Pool of Siloam. So the Pool of Siloam is located south. It ascended, meaning going up north to the city of David, to an interchange known today as Robinson's Arch. So where the corner of the temple is at, we'll show pictures, you have an archway. It's called Robinson's Arch. It used to contain a staircase where, by way, people entered the Temple Mount. Apparently, once again, he uses the word, a high official was walking on the Herodian street in the vicinity of Robinson's Arch and lost the gold bell. Okay. And then from his garment, it fell to the street and it fell into the drainage channel that is underneath the street, the Roman road. And that's how it got lost, according to the archaeologist, 2,000 years ago. So we're going to talk about some geography. To the east of the Temple Mount, we have the Mount of Olives. We have the Kidron Valley. We have the Gihon Spring. And in the Gihon Spring, we have what is called Hezekiah's Tunnel, which leads down to the Pool of Siloam. All right. On the west side, so we're thinking about the western wall, we have the Tyropoeon Valley, which means the Valley of Cheesemakers. Okay. Also on the corner, southwestern corner of the Temple Mount, we have Robinson's Arch. And once again, this is all alongside what we call the western wall. And as we move south from Robinson's Arch, we have what is called the Archaeological Park. And that's where tourists go, where they can see the Roman period ruins of the conclusion of the destruction by Titus Vespasian of the temple platform, the Temple Mount, higher levels, and where the stones were thrown down and it crashed into the roads and the street system of that time period. And this is part of the archaeological park. When we think about Hezekiah's tunnel, this is mentioned in 2 Kings 20:20 and also in 2 Chronicles 32 verses 2 through 4. Those are your biblical connections for Hezekiah's tunnel, its construction, and also what we call Hezekiah's inscription, or the Siloam inscription, which I have a copy of it right over here.
Well, George,
anyway,
we also have along that same wall with Robinson's Arch, we also have Robinson's Arch and then Barclay's Gate. These are some old guys. Then next is Wilson's Arch. And then above that, you have Warren's Gate. So that whole side of the wall, 4 old guys that identified prominent features of the Temple Mount, the southeastern wall.
Right. This is very interesting because a lot of these locations, when people are pointing to it, if you go to this archaeological park and you visit the western wall and the tunnel underneath the western wall, your guides are going to point to certain structures and they're going to give them names. And the names are usually associated with either archaeologists or early explorers. So
Yeah.
they'll use a name like Robinson or Wilson or Charles, Charles Warren. And this is what David is talking about. Thank you for
Yeah.
putting that in, because
I'll,
exactly that's what's going on.
I'll throw a photograph up of the identification of those sites. And also I've colorized some of the old black and white photos of these gentlemen. And I'll put that up for everyone to have a look at as well. So yeah, when you find something in those old days, you got your name put on it.
But yeah, that's all part of it. And some history. The Siloam Tunnel, also known as Hezekiah's Tunnel, is a biblical tunnel in Jerusalem mentioned in the Bible. It's a biblical mention in the Bible. It is significant because it was built by King Hezekiah in preparation of the siege by the Assyrians, King Sennacherib. The tunnel diverted water from the Gihon spring to the Pool of Siloam, securing the city's water source from the siege. Now this is talking about the Gihon Springs, the water from the Gihon Springs on the east side being redirected during the time of King Hezekiah to what is called the Pool of Siloam. All right. Now, more currently, the Siloam Tunnel was discovered, or we could say rediscovered, in 1838 by Edward Robinson. Okay, he also discovered or rediscovered what we call Robinson's Arch.
But we got Robinson's Arch and then Wilson and all these old guys. They got the privilege of having their name put on there, is my point. But
David, we're going to find something by the time we get done with our podcast. You know, I mean, we're going to get something named after you. Because you did find that the bath system at Tel El Hammam that dealt with the city of Livius.
Yeah.
So we could call that David's bath. How you like that?
Yeah, King David's bath. Yeah, all right.
David's bath. If everybody's going to associate with King, we could call it Graves' bath. That
a little different period,
Graves' bath.
time period, but nonetheless a bath, and not the right king. It was Herod Antipas that bathed in that bath. Right. But anyway, yeah.
Well, here you got an excavation I just named after you. This is going to be called. We'll put a sign there. It says Graves' bath, and they said, "Why is it Graves?" So Dr. Graves, he found this in like 2014 or so. I don't know the date, but
I just confused people. What? You don't have any? Where are all the people buried? It's supposed to be a grave.
Well, then we confuse people. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about Edward Robinson just rediscovered it in 1838. That's Siloam Tunnel. In 1880, a 16-year-old boy. Matter of fact, this should be plural because in the article it said singular boy. But 16-year-old, these were students, pupils of Conrad Schreck. They found the inscription, the Siloam inscription, when they were exploring the tunnel. But the article didn't. These boys were exploring the tunnel when they should have been in school. So they were playing hooky, and they were little boys, so they could go into the tunnel because remember, this tunnel at that time was filled up with soot and debris. So they're probably on their bellies scooting along, and at times they could probably stand up in some of the flow of the water. But this is something that young boys would do, and boy, this would be daring too. I'd be sick if my son was doing that and I found out thing would have happened. Nobody would have known where they went. But in 1880, once again, you digress, now I digress. Back in 1880, 16-year-old boys, pupils of Conrad Schreck, found the inscription. When exploring the tunnel, it was cut into the rock on the east side, about 19 feet into the tunnel from the Siloam Pool. So the Siloam Pool in the south, I think it's a lower terrain, right? So they were actually working their way up, and they went into it 19 feet, according to the article, where they bumped into this inscription.
Now, George,
so
we need to distinguish for our listeners that there are two pools of Siloam. There's the old Byzantine one, and there's the new one that was discovered recently when they were putting in doing some work on some of the water pipes. and discovered it a number of years ago now. But anyway, I'll put the dates up and everybody can tell. But there's two of them. We need to make sure that when we talk about the Pool of Siloam, that we're not talking about the old Byzantine one, which is down the road a little bit, or we're talking about this new one that has been discovered. So
That's true. When I was there, I'm going to give it away. Last time I went through the tunnel, the new one was the Roman period excavation. That wasn't happening. So I was at the Byzantine site. At that time, they believed that was the Pool of Siloam during the time period of Jesus. That's what we all thought, but we were wrong.
right.
So something else that's in that location of Robinson's Arch, which I'm going to bring up in the PowerPoint, is the place of the trumpeting. And there's a stone that was found in that archaeological dig. The inscripted stone was discovered by Benjamin Mazar during his excavation of the Southern Temple Mount in 1968. Specifically, the stone was found in the southwest corner of the Temple Mount, lying on the Herodian street. So during the Roman invasion, where they conquered or they overthrew the people in the Temple Mount location, and they were toppling the stone, as Jesus is recorded saying that one stone was left behind on another. The place of the trumpeting, that stone, which says on it, the place of the trumpeting, where they announced festivals, was dislodged and it fell hundreds of feet and it cracked down on the Roman street. And that's the stone that was found by Dr. Lazar in 1968.
And we did a podcast on that, George, for our listeners, if they want to look it up. The trumpeter's inscription, we have a whole podcast on that with pictures and what have you.
Exactly. Now, another thing, according to, I'm going to just say the biblical Christian tradition. Maybe you heard of this, David, and some of our listening audience. And this is dealing with Matthew and Luke chapter 4. It deals with the temptation of Christ. The devil comes to Jesus, and he says, if you have faith, jump and the angels will catch you. Remember that?
Yeah.
Jump with the angels. Now, some say, oh, this happened at the highest place on the temple where Jesus. If that was the case, some have speculated it could have been at the place of the trumpeting. So if I take this literal, if people take this literal as Jesus at the highest place, and this highest place is at the place of the trumpeting, then Jesus would have been standing very close to the stone that says the place of the trumpeting, where it was toppled over now on the street. That's a copy. If you go there in the archaeological park, there'll be a stone there at the same location, and it's a copy of the original that's in the Israel Museum, just so everybody knows that. At this time, David, I'm going to get ready to put up my PowerPoint.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. This is going to be the slideshow of the Golden Bell. It's going to give some land features, some archaeological features to help explain what we were talking about earlier. So this is what the Golden Bell looks like. It's about the size of a thumbnail. So you're thinking maybe 2 centimeters. It's not big at all. Now,
George,
yes,
is that your finger holding, or is that the original one that you have a photo of?
That's the original one. That's not my hand, but I'll lie and say, if it looks like good manicure, then it's mine. Now, if you take a look at this photo, at the very bottom, you see the Pool of Siloam. So let's look at this way. You're looking at it where south is down, north is up, east is going to be to your right, and west is going to be to your left. So if we go to the right side, the east side, we have what we call the Kidron Valley. Also, we have the Mount of Olives, and this is where we find the Church of All Nations. And if you go visit, the Mount of Olives and the olive groves, this is where a lot of tourists go. All right. Now, if we go south in the Kidron Valley, now once again, we're on the east side, you'll see the Gihon Spring. Now, Gihon Spring, as we walk through that, tourists will go into the Gihon Spring. You walk through that, that's going to be called Hezekiah's Tunnel. And as we proceed south and down, we end up in what is called the Pool of Siloam. And I think if we end up, it's going to be in the early, but the larger one that's below that is the new archaeological excavation.
I'll provide photos of all that.
Okay, this is another aerial view. To the right, you have the Kidron Valley. Now you can see how low the Kidron Valley goes. So you're going to go down Mount Moriah. This is the mountain right here where the temple, you see the Temple Mount. We go east to your right, down the Kidron Valley, up, and this is going to be the Mount of Olives. If we proceed south in the Kidron Valley and we move a little west, okay, this is where we have the Gihon Spring, the beginning of the Gihon Spring. And as we proceed further and further south in this direction, you're going to have the Pool of Siloam. You can't see it right here. Now, if we go to the west side, we're going to your left. In this area, there's going to be, as we proceed up to the Ophel, or the city of David, in this area right here, but this location in a whole, when you think of this whole location, is called the Ophel, Ophel, but we're moving up. So we're ascending from the Pool of Siloam, we're ascending up to the old city, and we're heading towards the western wall. And in this location, we also have that archaeological park. And if you look very carefully at the very southwest corner is where we have Robinson's Arch. Now, underneath the arch would have been the Roman road. And underneath the Roman road was you could say, like the water channel. And this is where they found the Golden Bell. I think that's pretty cool myself.
Yeah.
And this is actually called the Tyropoeon Valley. It was channeled down south because we're going from a high location. So we're using gravity. And we're moving the water. They're moving the water down towards the Pool of Siloam in this area. Make sense?
Well, the
Now
Gihon
it's going to be
Spring is
underground.
the Gihon Spring is on the right side.
Yes.
So there must have been another spring up there.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
On the
There's going to
left.
be two areas. Is going to be fed one direction from the Gihon Spring, and another direction from a water channel from the temple. Now, this would have been built during the time period of Herod, and it's under the Roman road.
Okay.
So they're redirecting water is what they're doing.
Because we do know from ancient texts that there was a spring on the mountain, on the Temple Mount.
So you're absolutely right. So this is what I added this little picture because I know it'll be a little bit confusing, but this is the time period of Hezekiah. So we're not in the Roman period. This is not the Herodian temple. This is what we would call the first temple. Now here we have the Gihon Spring, and they're redirecting the water to the Pool of Siloam. So it's going from a high location to a lower location using gravity, and about 19 feet from south going north is where the boys found the Hezekiah inscription.
Okay, where was the bell found?
The bell was found, well, see, this is the Hezekiah. So we can't see it. This is the temple during the time period of Hezekiah. So I got to go to another slide. So the length is the Gihon Spring is actually 533 meters. So in American terms, it's 1,750 feet, around that. That's the length of the pool. Now
Well,
let's continue to the next slide.
Wouldn't the if you go back,
Okay, 1 second.
there you go. If you go back, wouldn't the from what you described previously of the Robinson's Arch,
Yeah.
it would be under the H in Hezekiah, the last H in Hezekiah right there.
That would be a guesstimate, but using this model, I don't know how accurate this model is in comparison to to the Herodian, because the Temple Mount during the time period of Herod was extended. I know it was extended south.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, so that to me it'd be too confusing for me to give an honest estimate of what I think where it would be in this particular picture.
And the other thing, they call it the Shiloh pool. It's Siloam, Hebrew. I think you can.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, they do give a different spelling. They say it differently.
Shiloh, and that is a Siloam, just for people watching. Okay.
That's very true. And you know what? When you did a podcast on the Roman period pool of Siloam.
Yeah.
And we did have a couple comments from people that wanted to use this terminology right here and say, no, that's not the way we say it. Thank you, because at least you're letting people know we're aware of this. But I'm a gringo in New Mexico, and we still say Siloam, the pool of Siloam. So that's my story, and I'm stuck with it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's funny.
Hebrew sometimes pronunciation is a bit different than English transliteration. So
That's very
no worries, people.
But if you're a tourist and you're going through the Gihon Spring and you're going through Hezekiah's tunnel, you're going to see this. It's off to the right-hand side. It's going to be closer to the exit of the Pool of Siloam, like I said, like 19 feet. And there's a section that was cut out. It was chipped out. In other words, it was removed. and it was sold. This inscription was actually sold in the antiquity market, and it's now in a museum in Istanbul, Turkey.
Yeah.
You want to see the original. Now, if you want to see a copy, I got one over here to the right of me or to the left of me, which maybe I'll bring up. But this one right here looks pretty good too.
They have one in location at the Hezekiah's tunnel at the exit, and they have one in the museum. So there's lots of copies around. But yeah, the original is in Turkey. And the reason for that is because it was under the control of the Ottomans during the time period when it was discovered.
Let's see what's
okay. There's another cutaway of the.
Yeah, this one gives a more, maybe more of the length of how it would look. Here's the temple way up here, and the Gihon Spring and Hezekiah's tunnel. So it gives you, a better understanding of the length of it and what was built on top of it. That looks like, look at that, the wall right there. What do they call that?
Oh, that's the
area G or area C.
They call it the Ophal.
Yeah.
They call it the Ophal. And David's Palace.
And David's Palace.
Right at the top of it.
So here we go. This is the Pool of Siloam during a time period of excavation.
That's when it was first
discovered. To the right, to the lower right, is an artist's reconstruction of how it would have looked. But this is where it says the pool, which was filled with rainwater. So it says rainwater. And so I guess we got two different sources, of water. One from the time period of Hezekiah and one from the Roman period. All right, here's another artist reconstruction. But if we go south, the Pool of Siloam is towards the south, down here towards the bottom. And if we look at this wall and it's going up, you can follow it all the way up. We're going to ascend to the west side, to your left. And here you're going to see Robinson's Arch. But at this time, during the Roman period, we have a staircase. And people can ascend up to the Temple Mount, which was called Solomon's Stoa. Now it's the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and up above that is the Dome of the Rock. But they got a little bit combined. They got both combined in this picture, right? They got Roman period mixed up with modern period, but that's okay. So we got Robinson's Arch. But look underneath here. You can see where there are shops. So if you're walking in this vicinity during the Roman road period, on the Roman road, to your left, you're going to have shops. So they really did a lot with their space, didn't they? And up above the shop, you have steps.
And also along the wall, there were shops along the wall as well. Underneath, right there, where your arrow is, right there.
Yes.
Along the wall, running all the way up toward Wilson's Gate.
So it was underneath the Roman road and underneath where this bridge used to be is where they found the bell, in a drainage tunnel underneath.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully this puts it in perspective. So this would also be called the Tyropoeon Valley, the Valley of the Cheesemakers. We are on the west side. Today, this is going to be the western wall. This is going to be the south. Here we have, this is going to be your triple gateway, and then they have a double gateway. Some say this is the rabbi teaching staircase in this area. All right, it's there today. You take a tour to this archaeological park, you're going to be in this area right here.
Yeah.
And you'll see all this. You'll be in the vicinity of the ruins of the shops, the stones that were tossed down, they're going to be in that vicinity. And here we got an art. This is a model. Everybody goes to Jerusalem, sees this model. Is it still there, David?
Yeah, Israel Museum. It used to be courtyard of the Jerusalem Hotel, I think, but
right. Is that a hotel facility area?
Moved. You can also see Herod's Theater there in the bottom.
Robinson.
The red arrow is Robinson.
Right in here?
Yep. Yeah, that's
right.
the other arch,
okay.
Wilson's Arch.
All these have names, like this one.
Yeah.
So in this vicinity today, I think this is the Western Wall where people are praying.
Yeah, it's not all accessible. It's not all opened up like it is here. It's cut up, and you only have access to one side. So of the four things that I identified earlier, you can only get access to a couple of them from the archaeological park.
So, and of course, where this red arrow is at, this is Robinson's Arch. We'll show you some archaeological pictures of it today. Of course, this is the way it appeared in the Roman period, or we'll just say the time of Jesus, if you will. I know this is Robinson's Arch because it says so at the top, Robinson's Arch, and there's an arrow. See, that's how I knew, David. That's I knew
Oh,
for sure. Now,
yeah.
this is what you're talking about. This is the excavation of Robinson. But look at, I just wanted to show people the level of the debris. Here's the spring of the arch right here. This is the bottom of Robinson's arch. So the stairway would be on the top of that, right?
Yeah.
So this guy's
And,
actually sitting on part of that arch, and the Roman road is actually another 30 feet below it.
and if you look at photographs today, you can tell there's a difference in the stone above that. So we
Yes.
know that it's an added, the stones
Yeah.
were added later.
Yep.
And that the stair level would have, well, probably right there at the bottom of that window in this photograph.
Yep.
That's where it would end. That'd be street level, and everything above it was added later.
Yeah, so this is the spring of Robinson's arch, and this is George's apartment. So they named something after me too. So
Oh, good.
that's
Added
just-
later.
oh, good. Okay, this just gives people an idea. This is the reconstruction of the shops right here. You can see a tourist walking on the Roman road. You can see the stones that collapsed over to the left side. This is the spring of the arch, about 30 feet above him. This is where that gentleman was sitting in the picture. I mean, the drawing. And this is what David's talking about, the different types of stones. Here we have the Herodian stones with the decorated boss outline. But look at the big Herodian stones, how nicely they are cut. They're just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So this gives people an idea. If you visit that location, this is called the Archaeological Park, where you can see the corner. You see the sky over to the far right. That's the sky. This is the southwest corner. And in that location at the very bottom is where they found the stone of the trumpeting. But look at all that debris they had to remove. See, we take archaeology for granted sometimes. There's the stone.
Trumpeter stone, yeah. And it's still actually attached to the corner. They were able to put it together, and the pieces, and can't see the corner in this photograph, but there is a corner there.
Right. So I'm just going back up again because so there's a Roman road. You can see him walking on it. And you can see these stone slabs, and they're removing the stone slabs and going down into the tunnel underneath. And this is where they found the gold bell as they were excavating some of the debris. It sounds easy. It's not. There's nothing easy about this. That's why David is the archaeologist in the field, and that's why I was working in the museums.
Well, we all have our passions, I guess, and each to their own.
Okay, this is to the left. You have an early explorer. That might be Charles Warren. Which one got nicknamed the Mole? They had an early explorer. They named him the Mole. I think it was Charles Warren. And I'm just off the top of my head. He burrowed down so much into the ground, they just nicknamed him the Mole. So anyway, you can see this upside down V. It looks like an upside down pyramid, but here you also see it in a modern day picture. And this is the excavation as you would walk through it today.
Cool.
You see the little archway. So somewhere in this vicinity is where they found the gold bell.
All right.
I think that'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't it?
Needle in a haystack.
Needle in a haystack, but yet you find it. That's so much fun. Okay, then we're getting towards the end. Okay, modern day. This is my last slide, David. Of course, they put some planking where you can walk on a level ground for tourists, and you can walk through this area today. But it is still, for those that have you got to be in decent health to do it. Let me tell you that, because depends how tall you are. I'm only 5'8". I could go through that tunnel probably fairly easily, but for somebody that's taller, like around 6 foot, maybe taller, they're going to have to be stooping down, and it won't be so comfortable for them. But just to give you an idea of it, and this continues for quite a long way. But is it worthwhile? I haven't been through it, but I would love to go through it. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've walked through it. It's pretty neat.
That and a small bell, a small bronze bell. Okay. So David, that's my story. But we took people, I think, through a pretty good course in the geography and archaeology of the Roman period and actually Iron Age period of Jerusalem. And I think, a part of why I think this is important is because sometimes we go to, as a tourist, we'll go to a location and you visit it for what it is at that current time period. So let's say I go to the Pool of Siloam. all the Pool of Siloam, and we pick out a scripture all the time of Jesus, Matthew 4, Luke 4. This is where Jesus commands a blind man to wash his eyes and he receives sight. Okay, we got biblical connection. Okay, end of story. It was a good day, a good trip, no doubt. However, there's a lot more history that one could actually appreciate if you knew about it. And it could also add to your adventure while you're in that location. So you could turn around and say to your tour guide, hey, didn't they find a gold bell around here somewhere? And they said they found that underneath Robinson's Arch. Can we go there? Well, sure. Well, how do we get there? We have to go to the archaeological park. Let's go to the archaeological park. How many people want to go? And everybody says, yeah. And then we get to the Robinson's Arch and we talk about, the street and what happened there in the Roman period, the first Jewish revolt, the stones that are laying there on the ground, the shops to your left, the Tyropoeon Valley, the Western Wall. You go over to the southwest wall and you have the rabbinical teaching staircase, and then you have the triple gateway, the double gateway. And so one thing can lead to another, but you got to know about it. And sometimes you got to know to ask. And that's why I think it's important that people get an understanding of when you're visiting and you're going to spend a lot of money to go there and to get the most out of it. So learn before you go.
It's important to get a good guide. I had a guide, secular Jewish guide, and we went to the Temple Mount. We went to the Temple Mount area. We wanted to visit the Alaska Mosque, but of course, he took us there on a Friday, and it was closed. Took us to the Garden Tomb on Sunday. Of course, Holy Day, that's closed. Took us to the Western Wall on a Saturday, that was Shabbat. So that was closed. Was it accidental or was that on purpose? That all the holy sites were closed the day he took us there? He would know. Those places are going to be closed. So make sure you get a good guide and not somebody that's going to give you the runaround and misinform you. So and there are good guides around, but you've got to have some pretty good connections. So, well, thanks, George, for that tour of the temple area and Siloam Springs. We're going to probably do the Siloam pool again, maybe sometime, with some more of the newer photographs and discovery that they've made. This was only done last year, excavated, and they took the church out. And the court said the church had to allow them to go in and excavate, so they were extended it quite a bit more than the photograph you showed with a little bit of water there. So they've taken that soil all the way back, and it's been quite an elaborate excavation there. So pretty cool and worth revisiting again.
Right. Well, not only that, David, is that you did do it before and you did a really good job. And that podcast received thousands of views. I keep on going back to it because now it's probably been a year ago and it's still getting views.
Great.
And our quality now, because we got more experience, live and learn, is better than what we did a year ago. And we want to go back with better quality, with newer pictures. And David's going to do another presentation on it. And I asked him to. I said, David, this is receiving so much attention, but back then our quality wasn't that good. Would you do it again? He agreed to do it again with some updates.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that. And David's a busy guy though, because didn't you just finish a lecture? It was a couple hours long or something. You had this is your second time already this week.
Yeah, I had another one I did earlier on Pilot's Ring and Inscription for another podcast, and I've got another one to do on Saturday too. So another podcast.
Here, I don't mean to be rude. Let me do this real quick. I got to get this out of my system, David.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty close to actual size, George. I've seen the one.
I like that guy that's flying over. Like, remember that back in the you remember Vietnam? They had the Kilroy. I look like Kilroy.
Yeah, you do. You've got his nose too, there, George.
This is an appreciation to our veterans out there, folks. All right, so
there you go.
Hezekiah's inscription. And this is commemorating where two masonry groups were heading towards each other, where they joined and they connected and the water was flowing. It's mentioned in the biblical narrative. They commemorated that spot by cutting this inscription.
And they also use it, the epigraphers use it because the writing we can date to a particular period, and they use the script on that to compare with script on other ostrakhan pieces of pottery with writing on it and other inscriptions and so forth to help date, because we can tell by the style of the writing which period it is from, and that has become very important for
Right.
epigraphers to do that. Well, George, that's I think enough for our folks today, because we've gone all over the map, literally.
Promise David, I said this will just be 20 minutes, because he's been busting his hump editing the podcast from like 2 weeks ago. And the podcast lasted for over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So he's been working on that. Plus, he does edit my shorts. I do stuff that are like 30 to 40 seconds long, and he does that. So if you do Bible Interact to the ground down, you're going to see the shorts. You're going to get a lot of, and the shorts are just, I think they're just a lot of fun to do myself.
Yeah, they're great.
I share a lot of artifacts that way, and I share them quickly. And if they're only 30 to 40 seconds long, and if you want to, you watch one and then go to another one, go to another one. And they're just.
And then sometimes we do a long podcast on that advertisement, the short. So a little bit of everything for everyone there. So
I do have a short on the Golden Bell too.
Yep.
It'll say everything I said within an hour in about 35 seconds.
But just not as eloquently.
Oh, thank you, David.
Well, you do both.
Say
So
the word eloquent.
great, George. We'll appreciate it a lot, and sharing your wisdom on the golden bell, or the bronze one you've got there, a reproduction. It's good to make the distinction.
Right, and it was worn by a high official.
A high
I don't know
official.
what he was smoking, but he was a high official.
That's right.
Everybody, thank you for subscribing and being a part of Bible Interact, and hopefully you're laughing along with us and having a great time. Until next week. David, I'll see you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for subscribing and chiming in every week. And I think we're up to 259,000 or something. We're almost 260 now. So
we're almost 260.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thank you very much, and stay tuned. We've got more items coming to you from the vault.
Lots of items. Look, they saw all that stuff behind me, right? All those artifacts going on.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway,
We do it all for you.